Hi, in this lesson we're going to be talking about add-ons that you can install for Microsoft Excel. So you can think of add-ons as additional software that integrates into Excel to give you extra functionality. So if you've ever installed an extension in a web browser, it's kind of the same idea. So from the Home tab, you have a little add-ins section here. You could click on that, and it'll give you some popular add-ins, which you could install right from here. Or you could click on Get Add-ins and search by category, or just do a search up on the top here. So there's one that I like here right from the popular add-ins, mini calendar and date picker. So if you click on add, you can see that it puts this calendar right in your workbook here, and you can move it around. So this is a date picker. So let's say we had a new section down here, and rather than typing it in, we wanted to actually just go to the date. So let's say the 27th. Click on it, adds it right there. Then it has some other features here for toggle calendar size, change the theme, the system, week numbers, highlight range of dates, hide the settings, and then you can click on the settings back there. Then you have this arrow up here, or you could delete it, which doesn't delete it from your Excel, it just deletes it off the page there. And if you go back to add-ins, it's right here again, then you can just bring it back on the screen. All right, so to view your add-ins, you could go back here and go back to Get Add-ins. And then if you go to My Add-ins, you'll see the add-ins that you have installed, and you have these three dots here where you can check the details, give it a review, or just remove it. So if I click Remove, now it's gone, and now I can go back to the store and install something else. So let's say I went to Education. There's a video web player. Add YouTube videos to your PowerPoint presentations or Excel spreadsheets. It's only got a 3-star review. Always check reviews on these too, just to make sure they're not, junk. So if we click on Add, so agree to the license terms. You could read the license terms if you want. Continue. All right, so now you could paste the URL from a YouTube video or Vimeo video, and you could start at a certain time. So let me go get a video link real quick. Okay, so I just got a video link that I copied. We'll paste it in here. Set video. And now we got it on the screen here, but since I'm recording at a low resolution, it's kind of big. And I could drag it wherever I want. So now I have a YouTube video built into my spreadsheet, so somebody could just click play. Hi, in this video, we're going to show you how to copy and paste data in Excel while skipping. So that's a pretty nice feature. And then, of course, to delete it, just kind of make the double arrow box, press delete on your keyboard, and now it's gone. Now if we go to add-ins here, I could just quickly add a new video here by clicking on that button here, or I could go back to my add-ins and then just click on remove. Simple as that. So once again, click on add-ins. If you like something from the popular section, pick one. Otherwise, click on Get Add-ins. Do a search for something specific or check out the categories, and then just add them as needed. You'll just have to agree to any terms for the add-ins, so make sure you read them if you want, and make sure you check the reviews as well. Hi, in this lesson we're going to briefly talk about keyboard shortcuts that you could use in Excel. So if you don't know what keyboard shortcuts are, they are used as an alternative to clicking on the menus with your mouse, going up to the ribbon and finding the right section. That way you could just use your keyboard. So if you're really good with the keyboard, then it's actually a lot quicker than actually having to take your hand off the mouse to find the menu item you're looking for, especially for stuff like, copying and pasting. So you're probably familiar with, Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, Control-X to cut, and that type of thing. Those are pretty universal within all Windows apps. And if you're on a Mac, then you'll be using Command instead of Control. So these keyboard shortcuts are the Windows versions. So if you want the Mac version, you might have to go look it up or replace the Control with the appropriate key for your Mac. All right, so here we just have some popular keyboard shortcuts. Like I was just discussing, the Control-C, Control-V, the S for save, go to the Home tab, Alt-H, open, close. If you want to go to Data tab or View tab, add a border. And there's some popular ribbon shortcuts, a little more complicated here. So like Control-Shift-F10, so that might be harder than looking for the tooltip. Activate a selected button, spacebar, enter. So another thing you'll notice too, when you're in Excel, if you press the Alt key, it'll automatically kind of give you some letters up here that you could use. So like the P up there to go to the Page Layout tab, so if I press P, then it takes me there. And if I want to save, I could press 2, undo, 3, open, so on. And you press Alt again, and it goes away. Okay, and then down here we have some cell navigation keyboard shortcuts. These are pretty obvious here. You know, you could use the arrow keys to go up and down between your cells. You know, down, up, left, right. You know, tab will work as well. Control End you might find helpful if you have a really long spreadsheet. So let me go back here. Let's say we're on the top here and we want to go to the bottom. Control End, take you down to the last cell with data in it, then Control Home, take you back to the top. And then we have some others here. You could use, you know, page down as well as the Control End if you want to do one page at a time. Next sheet, Control, page down. Tab I mentioned. Cycle through floating shapes, scroll horizontally. Then we have some cell formatting keyboard shortcuts. You know, insert a note, Shift F2. So let's try that. So Shift F2. Then you have your note here. Enter the current time, current date. So that's a nice feature if you just want to do that real quick. Obviously, the problem with keyboard shortcuts is you need to have them memorized, otherwise you're not going to know what to do. So once you use them often, then you'll kind of start to get them memorized and they'll be a lot easier to use. And we have some other more advanced ones here, you know, apply percentage format, scientific number, like that. So these are not all the Excel keyboard shortcuts, so there are many more, but I just decided to put together, you know, some of the more common categories here, and that way you could try them out for yourself. Hi, in this lesson we're going to be talking about some of the options that you could configure within Excel. So Excel itself has a bunch of options, most of which you'll probably never need to change, but there might be some that you want to tweak to kind of make Excel work a little better for you. So to get to the options, just go to the File tab and then go to Options. And then you have all your categories on the left here, and then as you click on each one, you will see the options for within that category. So General, we have options such as changing the default font, the font size. So if you want to have a bigger font size than 11 when you click on a cell by default. Then you have your username. If you want to apply that to Office, you could change your theme if you want to use maybe a dark theme. Make sure Excel is the default program, so if you have another spreadsheet app that's opening your files every time you click on it and it's not Excel, you could come here and change that. Okay, some formula options here. If you want to change it from automatic calculation to manual, so if you hover over some of these little blue icons here, it'll kind of give you an idea of what that'll do if you change these settings. So here you probably won't change much. Maybe you want to change the error color from green. There are some error checking rules. Data, you probably won't come here to change much unless you're getting to advanced stuff like pivot tables. Some data conversion options, you know, removing leading zeros and convert it to a number. Keep the first 15 digits of long numbers and then display in scientific notification after that. Proofing, you might want to come here and change some options. So you have autocorrect options. You know, so if you wanted to automatically capitalize the names of days, correct accidental use of the caps lock key, and here's kind of cool to replace text as you type. So if you type this here, you want to do the copyright symbol, but if you just, obviously you don't have this on your keyboard, but you could type the C in parentheses and then it'll automatically change it to the copyright symbol. So that's kind of nice, and there's a bunch of other ones here you could do as well. If you want to ignore words in uppercase for spell check purposes, flag repeated words, that type of thing. All right, save options. So you'll probably always use the Excel workbook format, but if you want to change to a different format for your default save, and then auto-save files in the cloud by default. So this option here is if you have the autosave turned on right here, it'll automatically save a copy in your OneDrive account. So it's up to you if you want to turn that on, kind of like a backup feature, I guess. Then you have the auto recover information, 10 minutes by default, and where that auto recover version is stored. So if Excel crashes, you might have noticed that it says, hey, we found these files that didn't close properly. Do you want to restore them? And then this is where they will be located. And this will be how often it saves that information. So your default file location is usually going to be documents. And of course, you could change that if you want to save it to a different folder somewhere else. You could disable auto recovery options for this workbook only. Okay, let's go to language. So if you're using a different language, you could come change your settings here or add additional languages or rearrange them. Accessibility options, such as showing screen tips if you want to make things easier to read. Font size, you could increase it here. Advanced editing options here. So for example, after you press enter, by default it goes down to the next cell, but you could change it if you want. Cut, copy, and paste options to show the button when content is pasted. Image size and quality, this probably doesn't matter so much for Excel. It does for Word. So if you want to have higher resolution pictures in your file, you could change this here and have it not compress files to kind of make them better quality, but of course your file size will be larger. Print options, high quality mode for graphics, chart options, display options, show the number of recent workbooks. So when you go to your recent workbooks, when you open Excel, it'll show the last 50. You could change that. Show the formula bar if you want to turn that off. Show the horizontal scroll bar, vertical scroll bar, sheet tabs, display options, formula options. So you can see there's a lot of stuff here too. All right, customize the ribbon. So if you want to add or remove commands from the ribbon itself, you could come here. So you just go to each tab you want to change and then add or remove features by adding or removing them here. Same for the quick access toolbar if you want to add additional options that are available up here. And of course you have your add-ins if you want to add or remove those or view them. And then the Trust Center you're probably never going to come to. Okay, so as you can see, there are a lot of options in Excel, and like I said, you probably won't be messing with most of them, but if you do want to come and fine-tune some options, then you know where to do it. Hi, in this lesson we're going to be talking about the Microsoft OneDrive cloud storage feature. So this comes with Windows technically. So if you have a Microsoft account, you have a OneDrive account, and then you could use this to store your files in the cloud. You could kind of use it as a backup. I don't really recommend that as your only backup, but you can use it to have like a duplicate copy of important files. And it's also a good way to share files with others. So if you don't want to have to email files, you could just share them from your OneDrive account. So this is just going to be a quick overview because there's kind of a lot to it, but then again, it's kind of simple at the same time. So if you go to the OneDrive website and log in with your Microsoft account, you'll see your details here. So if I scroll down here, I see my files. I have desktop documents, and then personal vault is like a place to kind of lock things down with extra security if you want to do that, but you only get so much space in the OneDrive account unless you pay for one of the higher plans. So this comes with 5 gigabytes for this free account here. So if you have an Office 365 account, then you'll get more. I think you get a terabyte or maybe even 5 terabytes. And you can have a Getting Started with OneDrive PDF file if you want to read about it. So you have recents, photos, and then your shared files. So you can see these were shared with Todd here. And you could unshare them from here. Manage access. Change their permissions on the file. You could download them from here and so on. Let's go back to my files here. So you could add new folders and you could add Word, Excel, PowerPoint, so on documents. But when you add these, they'll be the online versions of these documents, but you could still download them to your desktop and open them with the desktop version. Then you could upload files or folders from here if you want. If you don't want to just make a new folder, you could upload an existing folder. Change your sort options, your view options. Then you have your profile, you have some settings, which you could check out. And then you could browse around kind of like you do in File Explorer. Just open up your Documents folder, for example. Click on a file to kind of highlight it. Then you can take some actions on it. You know, open it, share it, manage exit, delete, move, copy, so on. So let's say I opened up this OneNote file. You can see it opens up in the OneNote online version. Then you can pick Open an App. Then it'll actually open the app itself. Then you even have a recycle bin for stuff you deleted and that type of thing. So that's just a quick overview of OneDrive. So you could just log into your account and check it out for yourself, just kind of poke around. So one thing you might notice too is that you might have the OneDrive desktop client installed on your computer, because that comes with Windows. Whether it's running or not is going to vary on how your computer was set up when Windows was installed. So if you see a little cloud down here, or if you click on the up arrow and see it there, then you know you have it installed. You could also do a search for OneDrive. Open up the OneDrive app, which will actually just open up your OneDrive folder, which is under your user account, username OneDrive, and it's also up here too, like that. And if you right-click on the icon, you can see the status here of what's been syncing. Then you could go to the settings, so you can see your account information. You could unlink this PC if you don't want to use the app anymore, if you just want to do it all online. You could change your sync and backup settings, preferences, what type of notifications you get, and so on. All right, so the one thing to keep in mind when using the OneDrive client, so let's open up File Explorer. So if you remember correctly, if we go to our Documents, if we right-click, go to Properties, it should be // users, username, and then Documents, but you see it's OneDrive, so it moves everything to this OneDrive folder instead of Documents, and then probably the same for pictures here. Yep. And desktop. And so I think music and videos, it doesn't move unless you tell it to. See, this is in the right place. Users see Sims. And you notice you have this up here. And if we right-click this and go to Properties, you'll notice this whole OneDrive folder is under the username as well. So that is just something to keep in mind, that it's not going to have everything in your default location. So if you ever want to stop using the OneDrive client, it's most likely not going to move them back to the default locations. They'll be stuck in this OneDrive folder, and then you're going to have to redirect all your folders back to the original location if that's what you want to do. So we actually have a video on our YouTube channel that shows how to disconnect the OneDrive and move everything back. So I'll put that in the resources in case you run into that problem and want to check it out. So if you don't want to use it and you're doing a new user setup, when you get to that point in the configuration where it says, do you want to back up your files and so on, just pick the option. I think it says only keep files on this device, and that way it won't configure the OneDrive app for you. Because if you do, then it's going to sync everything to the cloud, and you're going to have copies on both, and you might not want that. And then you can see here too that we have some cloud icons, meaning they're in the cloud, and the check marks usually mean they're synced. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of the OneDrive cloud storage. It works the same as other services like Google Drive and Dropbox, except this one's owned by Microsoft, and it's free. Those are free too. And of course, for OneDrive, they have pay-for accounts if you want to add more storage and more features. Hi, in this video, we're going to show you how to use the Microsoft Excel watch window feature. So this comes in handy if you want to monitor various cells for changes. If you have a large workbook like this guy here, rather than having to scroll around to find that cell, you could just add it to your watch window and monitor it that way. So this will work for multiple worksheets, not multiple workbooks, but if you have multiple sheets in your workbook, you could actually set up monitoring cells for any one of the sheets there. So let's say on this one here, if we scroll all the way down here, we have our gross sales totals and our sales totals, and we want to monitor those for changes. So all you have to do is go to the Formula section, open the watch window, click on Add Watch, and then you can either type in the cell or you could go down and click on it, or if you have it highlighted when you open the watch window, it should fill it in for you. So click on Add. So now it tells you the workbook name, the sheet name. It will do the name of the cell. I don't think it'll do names because it's a formula here, not an actual cell. So I'll show you how to do the cell names in a minute here. Cell value, and then there's the value there. And then if we want to add another one here, we could scroll down here, add that guy. And then if we want to add something on product B, let's say we have profit, add watch. So now we have all these here. So if we were to go back here, let's change something here to 20,000. So watch the value here, this 127. So watch the 598 here. You can see it updates to match just like that. And then you could also dock this if you don't want it floating in a way. Just drag it off to the side here. But you'll have to scroll. You know, I'm recording at a lower resolution here, so I have to scroll more, and you could also stretch it out too if you want to do that. So as for cell names, so let's say we go back here. Okay, let's say we want the France units sold. We want to monitor that. If you click in there, and from the formula sheet here, you can click on Define Name. Right now it's none, we call this France. You have to use underscores if you want to separate things out. You can't use spaces. Like so. So now, when we click on this and add the watch, you'll see it has a name associated with that cell because it's not a formula, you know, like the ones on the bottom, which are the sum of the values there. So that's why I can't name the cell. And then if we change something here, let's make sure we see the value here. It updates it just like that. And you can see this guy, for these other ones, it actually shows you the formula of those cells, where this one's just a value, it's not a formula. So once again, from the Formulas tab, just go to Watch Window, and then you could add the cells that you want to watch. And then if you want to close it out, just do that. And also one more thing, if you have a doctrine and you want to move it, just have to make this little double arrow here. Then you could drag it back. And then if you want to close it, you could just, click close from here, or close the X here, and then go back into it. And it should keep your information like that. Hi, in this video we're going to show you how to do a search in Excel and then highlight all of the search results so you could then get to them later. So let me show you an example of what I mean by that. So this is a easy little trick. You don't need any add-ons or programming or adding anything to Excel to do this. So let's say we wanted to search for June, the month of June. Sure, we could sort this column or sort the whole thing and make this be the primary column and sort alphabetically. Or we could just do our search, type in June, and then do find all. And of course you could just kind of go through, find next, and so on. But that just kind of gives you one at a time. So to highlight them all, simply click on one of them in the list, do Control-A on your keyboard for select all, and then you could close the box. And then you could go back to the home page, and if you want to change the fill color, let's say we want June to be green. And now you have them all highlighted there. And let's try another one. Let's say for a number here, let's do 1235, find all. And then we could do Control-A to highlight. Change our color to red, let's say. Close the box, and now we have everything in red. So that way, really quick way to find every cell that has the search result you're looking for, and then you could just highlight it, and then you'll be good to go. So pretty simple. So once again, Control-F for find all, after you type in your value, Control-A to select all, close the box, and then go to the Home tab and pick your fill color, and then you'll have all those values selected. Pretty simple. Hi, in this lesson we're going to give you a quick overview of the Microsoft Excel Analyze Data function. So if you go to the Home tab over on the right here, you should have an Analyze Data button next to your Add-ins button. So what this will do is it will give you certain information based on cells that you highlight within your spreadsheet. So it works okay. Some spreadsheets work better than others depending on the type of data that you have, and I'll show you some examples here. All right, so we have the sales list spreadsheet here. So if we highlight everything here, for example, go to Analyze Data, it'll kind of do its own analysis here. Let me open this up a little wider here. Kind of give you the sum of the amount by each person there, which you can kind of see there anyways. And you could actually insert a pivot table based on this information. And it has a little chart here too that you could insert. And give you some information about last name Churchill has a noticeably higher amount. So if we go over here, actually this Churchill here, there's two Churchills. So that has the highest amount there. And then we have another chart, amount on one side, account number on the bottom. So if we insert this chart, make this a little smaller here so you can see it. Okay, so we have the chart here that it just made for us. Of course, we could do it from the charts option ourselves, but this is kind of a quick way to do it. So then if you don't like it, you just delete it. Okay, then you can see all the results if you want. And then, of course, you could analyze the data yourself by typing in a question. It gives you some examples here. We could say, well, first let's highlight the data again. Okay, this tells us that Penelope has the highest amount at $201, which is the case right here. Now, if you have multiple sheets, it's only going to work on one sheet at a time because you need to highlight the data here. All right, so let me show you another sheet here, loan amortization schedule. Okay, let's highlight the table here, for example. Analyze data. So we have beginning balance and ending balance by payment date. Total payments, interest by principal. And of course, you could go down to the bottom here, see all 21 results in this case. Some of these things are not super helpful depending on the data, of course. And then once again, you could type in your own question here, or you could use one of their suggestions. How many different beginning balances are there? So we could click on this. So we have 10, which matches here because all 10 beginning balances are different, so that makes sense. If we want to have an insight for interest, we could click on this. Interest decreases over time. So as the date goes up here, the interest is going down, so that makes sense there as well. All right, and then if we do a complicated spreadsheet with all kinds of data here, let's just highlight the whole thing here, see what it has to say. So I'm recording at a low resolution here, so I have to kind of stretch this out so you can see the screen here. So some suggestions here. Percentage of total manufacturing price for each month, or show total profit by year as a line chart. Let's try that one out. All right. Then total profit by year of date if you want to try that out. This may not be too helpful based on what kind of data you have, so let's clear that out here. All right, so let's see. Let's kind of shrink this up here so we can see what we're doing here. Let's see which segment has the highest sale price. So here's our segments. Here's our sale prices. So the government segment has the highest sale price right here. And we can change this to lowest. And that's channel partners has the lowest sale price. All right, let's pick something in the product line here. What is the most popular product? So this it didn't know what to do with. It couldn't answer that question. So it did a count of products. So let's see if that's right. Okay, so when I ask how many different products there are, it says 6. So there's 6 different products in this product category here. All right, let's try who has the highest units sold. Okay, so it gives you the whole section here with the segment, country, and product, and the total there, top units sold. And actually gives you the rest of the spreadsheet as well. And you can see it says you don't need to put the word who in there. All right, let's try average gross sales. All right, so there's our answer there for the gross sales. So as you can see, it gives you some pretty useful information there. So a lot of the info, of course, you could get yourself by filtering and that type of thing. But it's just a nice way to ask it questions or see what it comes up with on its own. And then, of course, you could insert tables and charts based on the answers it gives you here, and then just kind of take it from there. Hi, in this video, we're going to show you how to use data validation in Microsoft Excel to prevent users from entering a duplicate value in a cell within a range. All right, so we have this basic spreadsheet here, first name, last name, account number, amount, and due date. So when people create new customers, for example, we want to make sure they do not use an account number that's already been used. So we do not want duplicates. So the way you do it, here's the basic formula we're going to use here, equals COUNTIF, and then you want to put the range with dollar signs in between each of them. So we're going to do C2 to C20, C2 to C20, comma, first cell, which is C2, that's our first cell that we have account numbers in, equals 1, and that means there could only be one instance of that value, or account number in this case. So I'm going to copy this for the sake of typing it again. So we're going to highlight our range here, go to the Data tab, then Data Validation. So we want to do Custom for Allow, and then the formula, here's where we want to put it. So COUNTIF C2 to C20 starting at C2. So input message here, you don't need a title, it's just for your own purposes, but we're going to say please use a unique account number. And then for error, we're going to use a stop type error because we want to prevent them from doing it. So we're going to say this number is already in use. Click on OK. Now you can see when we put our cursor in a cell there, to select the cell, please use a unique account number. Let's say we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. But now let's say we're going to do 2320 like this one here. Now you can see this number is already in use. So retry and cancel, retry. You'll have to type in something different, obviously. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4 again. Nope, can't do that either. 4, 3, 2, 1, and it works. All right, so once again, just use this formula here. You could just edit it. So you might be using it for rows instead of a column, so you're going to have to change things around. So just remember to use the dollar sign between your values here for each cell, letter, and number. So put your range, and then your starting cell for the range 2, and then equals 1, so you can only have one instance of a particular value in a cell. In this video, we're going to show you how to add pop-up tooltips to cells in Excel. So this video is just going to be on how to add a simple message to a cell, not to do some of the more advanced stuff that you could do when adding messages. And I'll show you what I mean when we get there. Okay, so we have this spreadsheet with customers here with account numbers, and the account numbers are 7 digits long, so we want to make sure that whoever enters in new account numbers makes them 7 digits. So what we're going to do first is highlight the cells we want it to apply to. We could highlight these existing ones, but since they're already 7, we'll just leave them alone. And we'll highlight these. Go to the Data tab, go to Data Validation. So the Settings tab is where you could do more complex things. For example, making sure it's no more than 7 numbers and no less than 7 numbers if you wanted to configure that with these settings here. But we're just going to show you how to add a general tooltip, and then you can play with these later if you want. So what you want to do is go to the Input Message tab. So you can put a title if you want with the message, or just the message is up to you. So let's just put account number for the title, and then like so. We click OK. So now when you click in that cell, you get the title, which you don't really need in this case. I think it just makes it a little more cluttered. And then you have your message here. Make sure it is 7 numbers only. And if you want to get rid of the title, you could highlight this range again here. Make sure you highlight the exact range, otherwise you'll get a message asking if you want to extend the range. We can take this off here, and then we could have it just like that. Okay, so the key is to select your range first. Let's just do a different column here that doesn't have any data validation. Data tab, data validation, and then make your input message, title if you want, and then make the message. Or you could just make a title if you want something short. Make sure this box is checked. And then this error alert tab, this is what is used if you have something in the settings with a value. So if, let's say, they added 8 numbers, you could have an error message stopping them from doing that, and then a message saying you need to make it 7 numbers. So that's a little more advanced topic right there. But for now, if you just want to put a message, that's how you do it.